Hey guys, Prep for Life. I wanted to do a quick intro on the courthouse. So Seek Outside was kind enough to send one of these over for me to test and do a little review on. I'm kind of sad that I have to send it back, but let's take a look. I mean, it came in this really cool pack. I've never seen one of these before. I don't know if it's a new thing that they're doing or if they just put it together for this one courthouse, but kind of a cool little thing. We're gonna go ahead and set it up, and I'm gonna walk you through the steps because it's a little trickier than, let's say, the teepee. So let's get to it. I'm gonna go ahead and just take out our components here. All right, so we have the tent itself. We have our stakes. I'm gonna go ahead and open that, put it in my pocket. And lastly, we have 2 sets of poles. Now, they also send 2 batches of this high visibility shot cord. Well, I'm sorry, it's not shot cord, this high visibility cordage. Specifically because the courthouse needs a lot of guying out. It's actually what gives the wall their shape. So you're setting it up like a teepee and then guying the walls out so that you have the maximum use of space. So I've already opened both of those up. I've already set up my guy outs, so now it's a little bit easier to set up. First of all, I'm gonna take this thing and I'm gonna lay it out in a square. There's my zipper. I know I'm gonna want my door facing this way. So let's put that over there. You know you have a corner of the shelter just because of the separation of the sod skirt. So that kind of makes it easy to know exactly where you should be tying in your corners. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a stake. And what I like to do is go up and then twist. And that gives you a little bit more protection from, let's say, the wind and these things coming off their rocker. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in at the angle, rock it a little bit in the rocky ground, give it some simple tap. I'm gonna go kind of caveman on this. I'll go ahead and pull this taut and then let it come into a natural state. And that's where I'm gonna put in my stake. There we go. All right, let's move up to the front. Again, they've separated out the sod skirt, so I know exactly where my corner is. Now, based on the angle that I've already done over there, I'm gonna kind of just eyeball this. So far, I haven't had a real issue setting this up when I've eyeballed it. You just want it, you know, as straight as possible. Same thing, pull it taut, let it go into a natural state, and that feels pretty decent. I just have to find the right spot in the ground. There we go. So you can see the rectangle already shaping. So I know we should have a good pitch here. Lastly, I'm gonna grab that, stick it through, give it the twist. Same thing, pull taut, let it go in. So, got my 4 corners staked. Let's start with our first pole. I know I have my bottom pole right there because of the foot, and I know I have my top pole right there. So now, these really, there's no guesswork. Like with my 16-man teepee, I really had to find a good pitch, and then I actually took a Sharpie and drew which holes gave me the optimal pitch. That really helped me remember. These, there's really no guesswork. The only adjustment that you have is gonna be in this bottom pole, and that lets you kind of fine tune where it should be. But other than that, they have this pretty well dialed in. They know how tall it should be. One other thing is, they have the usual place to put your pole. However, they've kind of made this cool little sleeve. That really kind of holds that pole in place and makes sure that it's not going to slip on you. I'm just going to slide it in there and stand this thing up. Now it's going to sway a little bit until we get everything tightened in. I think I've found every time I've pitched it, the back pole I tend to put up a little bit higher. We'll play around with it. We'll see what we find out. But now I'm going to go in. I'm going to find that second area here. Here it is. Throw the pole into the sleeve. Oops, sorry, babe. And we're going to go ahead and set that up too. Now, I'm going to go to work putting in the rest of my stakes. Okay? So that way I kind of have something tight. Then I can do my guy outs, and then I can really kind of fine tune my poles. So let's get to it. One thing that's pretty cool is that you can either guy out this as a vent cover and give yourself a little bit of a rain protection but still get venting, or if it's colder, you know, stake that down, guy that piece out, and that way you have a closed vent. I think just seems apparent they've put a lot of thought into this shelter. Now what I've found on these walls is that you really have to get the right angle, okay? Because you want it to pull out, but also down. I'm gonna set this tensioner kind of loose, okay? On these sticks, there's actually a little hole. So I've just been putting it right through the hole and tying a little knot. Based on my experience, I know I want that pitch to come out about like that, right? So I might pitch it kind of wide. Now, it's not gonna handle wind nearly as well as the teepees. And Seek Outside knows this. This is certainly not a design flaw by any shot. They know that the teepees withstand wind much better. It's just the use of a wall maximizes your space efficiency. And so we're gonna talk about pluses and minuses, what you should probably look for, teepee versus courthouse, if you're considering buying one of these. That's about right. I might pitch this up just a little bit. Maybe the second or third. Again, this is all about fine-tuning based on the plot that you're on. Let me do my other side here. There we go. And from there, I know I've got a good angle. I'm just gonna go ahead and tension this like that. Now I've got my wall, I've got my tension. That looks good. This looks good. Okay, that's how the front of it should look. Now, before I move back and do the rest of them, I'm gonna go ahead and stake my door. And as you can see, you have a rain fly. Now, I've made this cordage much longer than the others because the angle that you need to get a good rain protection on there, you kind of need it long. Now I can fine tune this if I want, but tension looks pretty good. So that's the front, all right? Now we just go through and we do the rest of our guy outs. I wish I'd have gotten this on film. When I was setting up these lengths of cordage, I measured out the first corner there, figured out exactly how long I wanted it, cut it, burnt the ends with a lighter, and then I went through and just cut lengths exactly the same. Pull that tight. There. So that keeps everything nice and tensioned while I set up the rest. I'm going to start shaping the back end. This will obviously help pull those out and pull in this direction. So pull that nice and tight. Let's pitch our rain fly. Because of the ground, I'm going to go ahead and put that on top. That feels pretty good. Here's our last one, and that kind of pulls everything into shape. Pull that tight to tension it. I'd say we have our wall tent, guys. When you have it pitched and you're looking from the outside, it does not look like a huge shelter. When you get inside though, it's like deceiving because it feels a whole lot bigger than it looks on the outside. There's the space management. Okay, so this is one of the pluses to having a wall tent. So for 2 to 3 people, you'd have plenty of room. As you can see, we've got cots, gear, a stove. We've even got chairs in here for just sitting and hanging out. Tall enough, you have no problem standing. I'd say we probably got a good maybe 7.5, 8 feet. So, a little over 6 feet tall. This is me at the entrance of the courthouse. Again, really good height, all right? This is me standing right next to the Cimarron. Again, this is a tiny little shelter. This thing is made for backpacking. I actually keep this in my bug out bag as a go pack, just because it's a quick pop-up and I'm ready to go. This thing's awesome. That's how small it is in comparison, okay? And then lastly, this is me next to the 16 man. This thing is a mountain compared to the Cimarron. You're talking about 4 people on this one, 16 on this one, and then I don't know officially how many the Courthouse is made for, but if you've got maybe you, a spouse, and a child, or you and 2 hunting buddies, or whatever that might be, it's going to be outstanding. And like I said, especially if you haven't already kind of gotten your gear configured to a teepee setup, if you still want the creature comforts of a wall tent, that thing's perfect. That's kind of my recommendation between the two.